Hello and welcome to the Code NRL show, coming to you live from downtown Las Vegas. We are on the strip here at Old Red, the home of the Dragons in Las Vegas week. This 4-story hotel pub that is just unbelievable. This is next level, guys.
Mick's got to know it really well over the past 3 days. It's my first visit. Mick's been a frequent. I think Mick's posters on the wall somewhere. He's been here that often.
It should be. It should be. No, the Dragons have done well to convert this into a country and western bar in middle of the strip in Vegas. Very popular. Not my go country western music, but the joint does rock.
They're getting around in Dragons gear. There's Dragons games on the.
Yeah. They're showing the highlights. They don't go very long, but they're on. No.
Yes, let's go there. Let's go there.
And what about this? You can't do this any better than the Dragons have with that as your backdrop, the Bellagio. This is next level.
Caesar's Palace just here.
Caesar's Palace. And Dragons fans starting to descend on Vegas now, so things are really starting to heat up.
Yeah, well, obviously all the planes came in today, the charter flights, didn't they? Peter V'landys and Andrew had a bit of a setback. They had to fly back and come, but they finally got here, thankfully. But there's a lot of fans here now, Mick. Your dad's even made the trip.
Mum and Dad
I saw your dad here.
Mum and Dad are here, yes.
We met your dad before. We said, what were you doing?
Uncles, aunties, cousins, they're all here.
Wow, and that's all the Dragons fans there is. So that's terrific. So
Geez, they're going to go home disappointed, aren't they,
Oh,
Mozzie?
stop it. Stop it. You do get a sense now that the flick has switched a little bit with the players, and even walking around, I know like the build-up, what I witnessed, I wasn't here the first year, but last year, you know, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, there's just Aussies everywhere. They're all wearing their team gear, and the whole, you can tell the English fans are in as well, so it's starting to build up towards the weekend.
yeah, well, I saw that they were setting up the fan hub down at the bottom of Resorts World this morning, so that's going to head up. That's going to heat up on the Wednesday. Obviously got Fremont Street Thursday night, but Mick, speaking of the Dragons, because we're here at the home of the Dragons, talk us through where you've been at training this week, because you've had some pretty cool access and got a bit of a look at what this Dragon squad's got to do, because they've got a big battle up against the Bulldogs, who are missing some players.
Well, Reedy's Bulldogs just spend millions around town. The Dragons have just been focusing on...
None on me, Mick, sadly.
No, it's they've only had one training session. Like fundamentally, they've had one big session, which was yesterday, a big field session into some work at the UFC. Day off today, another big session tomorrow. So, you know, the preparations was all about recovery, blowing out some cobwebs yesterday. And then tomorrow I think we'll get a little bit more of a look around that Dragons lineup. The side that Shane Flanagan selected, no real surprises. Set to 2 will make his NRL debut. Aside from that, there's no great mystery surrounding the Dragons, you know, 1 to 19 these days.
I actually think this is one thing the Bulldogs did really well, Mobsy. They came a day or two earlier than everyone else, so they're more advanced than everyone else. Like Mick said, the Dragons have had their big session, only one big session. The Dogs have been training a lot longer than everyone else. They blew the cobwebs out days ago, and I reckon that was a smart move by them. And you know, we said it, they spared no expense. They trained at the home of Las Vegas Raiders. Unbelievable.
50 grand for that one session.
Unbelievable place. Right, and all they did was run on the synthetic turf. They didn't get to use the gym, the cafeteria, nothing.
What would that cost? It was 50 grand just to run on synthetic.
Man, it was crazy. But and they, I've got to say, being around them, you can see they're still stung by the way last year ended, and they got a bit of a point to prove. You know, guys like Lockie Galvin's got a point to prove. There was so much talk about him last year. I reckon they could. Look, you're going to have a go at me here. I dead set reckon they can blow the Dragons away.
Really?
Yeah, I just got a feeling. They just look to me like they're cherry ripe. As I said, they got here a little bit earlier. They got all the distractions out the way. They're focused, and I just think they've spoken about last year's X in the finals, and I just think they've got a bit of a chip on their shoulder, and they've got a point to prove.
And their whole preparation is very quintessentially Cameron Serraldo, right? They bring over extra players. They bring over 26 so they can have 13v13 opposed sessions. They came out a couple of days early. They give the players a little bit of time to blow off some steam. They've got into their recovery, and now, like you said, being a couple of days ahead. So, Mick, what can you see, having been in with the Dragons? Obviously, we've had a little bit of time with young Dan Atkinson as well, who looks like a terrific kid. He's a great pickup for the Dragons.
Yeah, well, that's the question marks around the Dragons, is around the 7 and the 6 position. Kyle Flanagan will wear the number 6, and Daniel Atkinson the number 7, and you know, those two strong enough voices to get the side around who's going to be the dominant voice there. So look, there's lots of questions. While Canterbury has settled, in terms of their lineup. I still think there's a few questions around the Canterbury lineup as
their
well.
Their spine as well, Mick, though. I reckon there's questions around their spine.
I think if you sat down and broke down all four sides, the halves are a talking point for all of them.
But even Bailey Hayward playing hooker,
Correct.
I mean, he's a full-time hooker now.
Yeah.
So I think both, Lachlan Gelman, I mentioned him before, coming off a really tough year. You know, Matt Burton had an injury in the pre-season, well, had a scare with that hamstring. He's looked pretty good, to be fair, all week. He doesn't look like there's any concern.
I saw him send that bomb up trying to hit the roof inside the Vegas facility.
And their injury concerns, Jacob Carraz, Marcelo Montoya, they've all trained all week. They've looked really good. So Leo Thompson's obviously not here, huge out for them. Sam Hughes will start in the front row. He's a massive out for them, Leo Thompson.
It's going to be interesting how both those sides use their interchange bench, right? Because they both have hookers who, like Damien Cook's gone 80 minutes plenty of times in his career, but not lately. They had the 1-2 punch with Jacob Little last year, and Bailey Hayward hasn't played a lot of 80-minute games either. So it's going to be interesting with the Dragons. If Damien Cook can't go the distance, Lycon King Tonga will come on and Kyle Flanagan will move to hooker. But if they don't need to use that, they might go with 4 forwards.
Speaking of hookers and speaking of maybe a chip.
Where are you going here?
Whoa. No. Hey. No, I'm going over the other side of the hotel with Reid Mahoney at the Cowboys because he said this week that he was obviously stung a little bit when his tenure there at the Bulldogs came to a premature end. He's got a bit to prove. He's lobbed with the Cowboys. No awkward reunions in Resource World that we've seen so far, but that Cowboy spine itself, obviously Drinkwater settled the 6 and 7. Clifford won that battle to partner Dearden, so right call for you guys?
Well, I didn't see a lot of them in the pre-season. It's hard because he played really well in the pre-season, from what I understand, Jay Clifford. But Jackson Purdue is going to be a star down the track. Interesting, he still hasn't signed that extension they've got on the table for him, Jackson Purdue. Obviously, that's a really interesting game from a completely different perspective, I reckon, because they're two sides that no one expects anything out of this year.
Yeah.
Like, I think no one will be surprised if Newcastle win the Spoon or if the Cowboys sack their coach at some point this year. So there's no expectation around these two sides. And you know, whoever loses this weekend, the pressure's instantly on, right? Because those two sides are both coming in this year, they're already under pressure. You lose your opening game against the side you probably expect to beat, the pressure just intensifies. So they're interesting games. I've just got a feeling about Newcastle. I like the Fletcher Sharpe selection halfback over Sanders Smith. I think it's a really smart selection because I think he's just got so much attack in him. And I think if the Knights are going to win footy games this year, they're just going to have to blow teams away with their attack. Because their forward pack, let's be honest, if you rank the forward packs, which I think Tyson did, didn't he? Yeah. What do you have at Newcastle?
They weren't great, let's be fair. But interestingly, on a couple of points there, what do you make of the decision to start Trey Mooney? He's straight up from Canberra to start there. And then you've got to look at that. They didn't score points in the pre-season.
I'm not sure if Trey Mooney will start, hey?
Yeah, I'm with him. Yeah.
You think named to start but won't?
Potentially. There's some mail around that he might not start. He has been named to start, but I think the reason I wouldn't start him is because last year, I know he wasn't there last year, but when Jacob Saifidi and Leo Thompson came from the field, they didn't really have much punch off the bench. So the thought process, I guess, would be Trey starts off the bench, Matt Croker starts. They could have some punch, a bit more punch off the bench. But yeah, the concern for the Knights is no doubt their forward. No doubt is their forwards. Like Dylan Lucas is a really good player. You know, Tyson Frizell's been great, but like he's at the back end of his career. So
they just got to hold their own, Mick.
If they can,
because if they can hold their own, Ponga, Sharpe, Dylan Brown.
One thing I'll say about those guys, they got great attack, but they're front foot players. Not many players can play well off the back foot, right? But they're short side raids and go, right? Yeah. Are they going to roll enough forward to be able to give those players their best opportunity to do that? That's the concern. But I think the Fletcher Sharpe decision in the halves was the right call.
Do you reckon the narrower field at Allegiant Stadium is going to come into play with that short side move?
We've spoken about this for 2 seasons. Yeah. And players get out there and don't realise any different. Yeah. So it hasn't impacted the last games that we've seen here, so I don't expect it to come into play on Saturday night.
Yeah. Right, now, we've talked about the games. What's up for the rest of the week? We sampled the dueling piano bar last night, just purely for research purposes. Opened the pipes up and...
Tonight's, it's Trevi Main's birthday tonight, so we've got to celebrate that.
Yep.
But it's a bit of a recovery session the next couple of days, Mobsy.
Michael, any chance you're going to join us for some team
I
camaraderie?
haven't seen this guy all week.
No.
Some of us are working.
He's been a ghost.
Some of us are
Mate,
working.
all you've been doing is eating at the Dragons buffet all week in the team room. Let's be brutally honest about this.
Just working, mate.
Yeah, okay. Does that work?
No, it doesn't. So Fremont Street Thursday night. The teams do a walkthrough of Allegiant on Friday local time, Saturday back home, and then it's the games. It's we haven't even spoken about the English game. I don't know if we've got time.
I
But
saw Willie Peters today.
Yeah.
I went out to watch the doggies train, and Willie was in the whole Kiowa training beside them. Then they went to the UFC High Performance Centre, and when I went over there, whole Kiowa were doing a recovery session. Had a nice chat to Willie. He's a good fella. Going to be a very good NRL coach one day.
coach in waiting.
Yeah, very good.
Speaking of coaches, also spotted the great Neil Henry's in town.
Oh, the king.
What about that?
He's coaching the American All-Stars or something, isn't he, in the Nines tournament?
Yeah.
Mate, he told me half his team didn't get here because there's some weather conditions.
Well, apparently, it's blizzard conditions.
Blizzard conditions, so half his team's stuck in the
We've
blizzard.
been in shorts and t-shirts all week. How good is it?
I know.
Mate, you've basically gone from the Dragons team room to the pool all week.
And then bed.
And then bed, yeah.
All
Me
right,
and
well,
Mobsy, we've been flying the flag.
working very hard. Very hard.
And Sophie behind the camera's been flying it too.
Someone's got to do it. So, well, that's it. We'll check in a little bit later on this week for some more. We'll try and find another venue, but I doubt anything's going to beat this. But I'm really looking forward to the fans getting over here because I think this vibe's just about to pick up, boys.
I'm looking forward to because I usually sledge ready.